there's something, good about just, following sort of your gut and building out an idea that you believe in.
Which do you think is a cooler company, Hike or Airtel?
You know the answer. Come on.
Let's hear it from you.
Oh, it's Hike any day.
Every skill activity now in the ecosystem, we have essentially, whether it's a short-term skill, whether it's skilling in the ITIs, which is a long-term 2-year course, we have mandated essentially that every skilling has to have two essential components. One is soft skills and second is personality.
Thank you very much there, and I'm one of the strongest believers who feel that there has to be a bridge between skills and digital, and then only will the two take off. Do you believe the bridge will have to be digital? The bridge will have to be a digital platform where people get on and leverage their skills?
Well, it's a combination of many things. Education, yes, basic education is required if you want this to be put on a fast track. But the platform could not be confined to exactly one platform. It could be usual platforms which we have to share our digital knowledge and cannot be standardized. So I would not agree that it's a very standardized format. A lot of things happen informally also, and because the overall consumer market, the overall growing economy, the overall needs, the overall conversation which takes place across in a room, in a social network, all that brings it up. And the more appetite you have for this thing, the more connect you have, I think it gives you an opportunity. When people need to travel, automatically they look for sites which can make your life comfortable. You want to travel and you book a hotel. So all this thing does not come through a training. So all these platforms does exist. There have been professional services earlier, but people want to do it internally. So as much exposure is given to you, as much initiative takes place.
That's a good point indeed. But for the digital economy, sir, to be a success, I think the entire ecosystem has to come along. And if I may ask you, for India to be a digital economy, there needs to be a higher penetration of smartphones, for instance. Smartphones need to be made here so that they're cheaper in cost, and there is a higher penetration there. Do you believe, as a skill development minister, your focus area will perhaps have to be to take care of some of those things first? Develop a system where there are data presenters, data producers, have people who excel at making these smartphones, app developers, that entire ecosystem.
I do appreciate, but we can create manpower which is required for the overall economy. When we talk about Make in India doesn't happen unless until we have makers in India. And that's one responsibility which is there. But whether that makers in India would get enough to produce such products is a question which is taken care by the economy. So I agree with you, but at the same time, my manpower training and the ecosystems for manpower training, which is there for a particular mandate, is my job. So it may not necessarily be manufacturing or creating such, say, setting up a mobile repair shop could be my job.
Right.
But setting up a manufacturing unit of mobile may not be my job. So that high-end skilling which is required is created down the line, but the numbers which we talk about there and the numbers which we talk in the services sector or in the maintenance is far more than the actual manufacturing side.
There's a lot of emphasis right now in India on digital economy, going digital, doing away with cash, being cashless. What sort of challenges is it throwing up as far as skill set is concerned?
Well, I would not call it challenges, but there is a general resistance. I would not call it resistance again, but those who can enjoy the fruits of that indulge in it. That apprehension of putting people closer to it, make it friendly, we have to create an advantage of such transactions, such initiatives by an individual, which gradually, the moment we are seeding it with Aadhaar, the schemes which are coming to the government, the process and the benefits which accrues of accounting. So as the economy grows, as your own individual economy grows, you would like to take benefit, and definitely the government is incentivizing all initiatives by individuals to come on a digital platform on many, till the time you actually become a part of it. So the government initiative is there, but there I feel we all as a campaigner, we all who have, I can tell you a small incident, and I have a gentleman called Mr. Bhola Mandal. Now he came from Bihar, he's become my chef, he's got trained in Taj and so forth, he does. So occasionally he travels with me in the aircraft. So there was a passenger sitting next to me, and I didn't have a pen. So I said, Bhola, please, is kitab ka naam likh lo. What he did, he took out his mobile phone and clicked that photo and kept it. So he did not write it. Possibly he wouldn't have found it easier to write down the spelling of that book. So this innovation, no one had taught him. But my request that please write down the name of this book, he captured the photo of it and saved it. So how do you do and train for these things? It's the appetite which gets created by certain requirements. So technology is also keeping pace. People are there working on it. And it's growing. So there's no limit, but that appetite must come in the people to look for more such digital connect.
So the appetite and demand will take care of some of that. But thank you so much, Minister, for being with us.
Thank you
and
very much.
joining us on this edition.
If one were to start this topic, we've heard a lot about Digital India, its scope, its potential. But this session is largely focused around the backbone of Digital India, which of course is the technology, the infrastructure network. Where are we on that? And of course, is it robust enough or not? So let's just first start with, are we really infra ready for Digital India to really take off? Let's begin with you.
The answer is yes and no. In a way, yes to say that because operators and the telcos are actually upgrading the network with respect to the various technologies from GSM to 3G to 4G and LTE also. At the same time, there is a still out. The reach out is required in terms of the penetration into the rural segment. So to that extent, you still have to make a footprint and availability requirement.
Mr. Kamal Nath, do you want to comment on the fact that are we really infra ready for Digital India to take off?
As he has just mentioned, I think in a very different way, India started getting ready for this digital transformation long time back without knowing that India will go through this phase when our entire mobile journey started many years back. And the other important element apart from the connectivity and the mobile part is are the data centers. Let us not forget that the role of data centers and cloud, apart from connectivity, which is the heart of the entire digital transformation platform, and of course connectivity and mobile, they give they help us to reach the end user faster. But I'm very happy personally with the progress and the kind of way the mobile telephony is getting adopted and also expanding. So I'm very bullish about that.
Mr. Ghosh, let me bring you in on this discussion. Yes, corporates have a limited role to play when you talk about Digital India. It is, of course, a public-private partnership in every sense of the word. But in your sense, how far away are we really from Digital India to meaningfully take off?
Corporate India has a huge role to play, actually. To begin with, they will initiate a lot of things which will be taken by the citizens of the country, the consumers of that business. Now, if we look at the infrastructure, I mean, I don't think we should limit to connectivity. We should look at infrastructure. But if the connectivity is poor, that is what we talk about, because you are not reaching the data center with it. So in effect, data center is there or not there doesn't matter if you cannot reach there. For us, it's an extremely important. First thing is we need to look at our own offices, our own infrastructure, how well we are able to leverage, and that's where the connectivity and the cloud, etc., comes into the picture.
So one of the biggest and most urgent topics that I want to address first is the lack of no security laws or inadequate security laws that exist right now in India. Pawan Duggal, comment on the fact that when you talk about delivery of e-services of such a large scale, at such a large scale in India, are we really on a regulatory basis, are we ready given the fact that there are no supporting laws as far as data security is concerned?
Well, as a nation, we have embarked on the journey of Digital India, but as a nation, we are thoroughly unprepared as far as the legal, policy, and regulatory frameworks is concerned. We are trying to match a vision of the 21st century end with a very primitive law. I call it primitive, the Indian Information Technology Act, because it's 17 years old. It's only been amended once.
17 is a very long time in technology.
Very, very long time, and we have just amended it once in 2008. We do not have the legal frameworks for helping support the legal vision to get towards the Digital India vision and the final goal. But the question is, what about cybersecurity? The Indian nation does not have a law on cybersecurity. Today, if somebody violates your cybersecurity, what happens? You're talking of Digital India, an app of a very prominent FMCG player has been hacked and 22 lakh records have been stolen. We do not have the frameworks of how we are going to catch hold of these people. More significantly, India is a cybercrime-friendly nation. Our legislation says a very strong message. You commit cybercrime, don't worry. I'm going to be soft because the majority of cybercrimes in the country are bailable offenses. There's hardly been single-digit or at best double-digit convictions of cybercrimes for the last 17 years. We are talking about linking Aadhaar to electronic governance without having done our homework on the loopholes under the Aadhaar Act of 2016. The issue pertaining to cybersecurity of Aadhaar has not been addressed. Issues of data protection, data privacy are issues that are somewhere in the horizon, and India quickly needs to start regulating these issues by not just empowering the citizens who are the owners of the data, but also giving a balancing interest to the corporates and other intermediaries as well.
Pawan Duggal, I'm afraid you're painting a very grim picture as far as data security in India is concerned. Let me bring in Rama in this, that, Pawan Duggal talked about, Aadhaar being the backbone as far as e-delivery of services is concerned. Explain to us, or, bring it, how do we talk about the role of regulator here, given the fact that at the end of the day, Aadhaar is the backbone of e-delivery. Regulatory systems need to be more robust. They need to wake up to the challenges that exist right now.
Yeah. So before I just get into that, just to step back a little, I would evaluate the entire progress that we've made in Digital India on, not in a very idealistic classroom scenario, but are we moving the needle every month? Are we moving the needle every quarter? I think we see a huge progress that has been happening in the last three and a half, and particularly in the last 1 year. And I think the private sector, whether it is user enterprises like the banking and the financial services organizations or the telecom and the ICT industry, have played a big role in, making this entire vision of Digital India really real for the common man. But one thing that I would worry, maybe not as much as Mr. Pawan Duggal, is that I think the Digital India now should definitely be a secure Digital India, because it's the first time user which is adopting a mobile-first strategy, whether it is for browsing the content or it is for digital information, and most importantly digital payments. So this mobile-first user needs, I think we owe it all, or everybody in the ecosystem, whether it is government, whether it is the providers or financial services organizations or the technology solution providers and all these payment wallet companies, owe it to these first mobile user to be able to get them educated. I would more worry on security for financial transactions. I think because there is financial laws involved, people will get their act right in providing secure solutions, and consumers will get forced to adopt safe practices. But I would more worry as a citizen of India in terms of the online child exploitation or social media platforms and the kind of online crime that happens with children or with girls, where I think there's a lot more that needs to be done when we say Digital India, taking digital technologies and digital services to right up to that, young child.
Digital India, of course, is an overarching theme that covers a lot of things, from technology to delivery of services, what kind of services can be delivered. Of course, it's a huge, huge topic that can be debated at length. Right now, of course, we're looking to really understand whether or not any of that is possible, given the backbone that exists, given the infrastructure that exists. Aseem, comment on the fact that, in terms of the security challenges, since that is the leg that we're really covering right now, security challenges that exist right now, also from a connected devices point of view, how pronounced are these security challenges?
the major threat that I see right now is connected devices, Internet of Things. Right now, it's not very prominent in India, but given another 5-10 years, this is going to be everywhere. Hospitals, airports, your homes, enterprises, everywhere. Now, the risk would be defined by the type of operation for these connected embedded systems. Like, for example, connected healthcare devices that will actually operate on you, pacemaker, whatever. And the security of these devices that we look in day in and day out is not up to the mark. So I'm not talking about Indian perspective. I'm talking about a general overview of different products around the world. DSCI is doing very good work. Really appreciate their effort in creating policies. The only challenge, again, I see is who's going to enforce those policies. Until and unless the government mandates or makes these policies or standards mandatory, people are not going to learn. So to err is human, to not learn from your mistakes is also human.
Right. Let me get Hemant in the discussion right now in terms of the fact that you are, or your company is of course a beneficiary of a connected India, the connectivity that we're talking about here right now. In your sense, is the backbone, the infrastructure ready right now, given the fact that the demand for connectivity is increasing much more rapidly and is obviously not keeping pace with the infrastructure that exists right now?
So considering that we publish on the internet, we definitely see that in the urban areas the receptibility for everything that we throw out is very high. But when you start moving into tier 2, tier 3, I'll give you a very specific example. When we realized that a larger chunk of India resides beyond just Facebook and Twitter, we started sending content on WhatsApp as an experiment. And there were some very key insights that came up to us. People in tier 2, tier 3 cities coming back and saying, hey, don't send me a website link because my data pack doesn't allow it. I'm not able to consume that. But can you send me an image? Or can you send me this thing? So there's a huge information asymmetry happening between what the urban India is consuming, and hence its pace is kind of being determined in that rate. But what's actually going out there? Even though, yes, we're building infrastructure, but there are, I think, a lot more bottlenecks there, even before we get into more serious issues like security. So to answer your question, I think we are on the verge of it. I think the pace of growth should start self-correcting the whole system, and hopefully, urban, rural, all of that would merge together very soon.
Mr. Ghosh, comment on the fact that do you think corporates are embracing Digital India, and how is it really changing things?
I cannot say whether they're embracing Digital India or not, but I will definitely say it's definitely a talk in each and every relevant meeting. Okay, how much each of the corporates are able to do, depending on what kind of sector they are, what is the feasibility, how they are assessing that their own business will get disrupted. But I think it's definitely on the top of the agenda of most of the corporate, at least the forward-looking corporate. So we are doing, and I think many of the corporates are doing. How much can be questioned, but I guess everybody is looking at it.
Hemant, comment on the fact that are Indians embracing digital India, digital technology, and how fast are we really doing it?
So we're seeing this happen. Okay, so let me give you an example. Today, we're a company with about 20 people who are spread across 4 cities who work completely on the internet. It's just so distributed, right? And some of them are in the tier 2 cities. We are seeing the embracing of technology happen at a very, very fast pace. I don't think we as a private entity or even the infrastructure is able to keep up with the pace of the aspirations with which people really want to want to have access to this whole information highway. Digital is the way of life that's going to be there. It's like saying, hey, we qualified for the Olympics, but do you think we jumped the gun? Should we have done it a little, slowly? I think it's a destination we have to go to. It's just that the process needs to be more refined as we keep going there.
Just one question that we'll come back to as far as security is concerned for Pawan Duggal and Rama, and that is around digital payments. How pronounced are these security threats when you talk about digital payments? And is that a hindrance? Pawan, to you first, and then Rama, of course, you add.
Demonetization, the last 17 weeks, we've seen a massive spurt and increase of cybercrime in the country. That's primarily happened because the Indian innovative mind has realized here is a new opportunity to go after data, to go after people's money. That's one. So the cybersecurity threat is a very real one, more so when it deals with sensitive personal data, your financial data, your medical data. And the fact remains is that we cannot just underscore it, we just cannot ignore it. Yes, as a nation, we have done some work. We have come up with the National Cybersecurity Policy of 2013. But in 2017, you require a completely new paradigm. And that paradigm says, let's begin by coming up with rules of the road for the digital era intermediaries. Good news is that the government is now coming up with some draft rules pertaining to prepaid payment instrument service providers, primarily the e-wallets and the digital wallets. But that's one component of the bigger ecosystem. Almost everybody in the value chain is increasingly being impacted. And one cybersecurity breach at one level is going to impact the entire pyramid. So if we can come up with proactive cybersecurity mechanisms to follow, we come up with deterrent provisions, but more significantly, we start inculcating cybersecurity and cyber law education as a part of school curriculum and increasingly encourage its usage in corporate sector.
Right.
I think we'll go a long way ahead in the direction.
Rama, just comment on the fact that policy making is playing catch up as far as digital payments specifically is concerned.
Yes, I agree with you on that, because what Pawan was referring to, the PPI, the prepayment instruments, both RBI and MeitY have just launched it. Ideally, we should have had that in place before the revolution happened. I think given the mobile applications, not only by the banking sector, banks are rolling it out, and that is becoming the way in which you are going to transact, and the whole lot of digital wallet solutions. How do we ensure that they are properly tested, certified before they get rolled out? And also, when you're looking at biometric-based authentication from your smartphones, how do we ensure the necessary hardware security features are implemented before we roll out these features? Because there are various, there is an OEM in the place, there is a third-party mobile application, and then there is a banking or a financial institution at the back end. We have to make sure that security features are locked down and implemented at each of this. The threat is real, particularly when you look at the Aadhaar-enabled payment system, where a whole host of organizations will roll out solutions. Some of them are linked directly to your bank account. They're not just a prepaid wallet, but some of those apps are also linked to a bank account where your credentials could be compromised. So I would worry about that, and I think there needs to be a lot more focus on security and certification.
All right, we'll wrap this session right here. A lot has been talked about as far as the backbone to really deliver or e-deliver services right now as part of government's Digital India initiative is concerned. How robust is it? How safe is it? And of course, what will really get the naysayers to share their data is what we really talked about in this panel. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being part of this engaging discussion.
When you're looking at the next 100 million, internet access is actually not as much of an issue. The issue is, I suppose, twofold. One is, are there enough merchants who accept your payments? And the second point is, does the merchant see value in accepting digital payments?
To me, the whole Digital India initiative that we're talking about today, the biggest beneficiary, in fact, initially would be the government, in terms of being able to verify the kind of money flows that are happening through merchants, getting more people into the tax net, and then hopefully being able to actually provide services back to the sort of broader population.
Though digital transactions and financial payments are happening today, the ease and the comfort at which you can use with cash still roots the roots.
User experience is obviously a massive barrier. So literacy, fluency, language, access to device, gender gaps, all of these things. And then, of course, credit.
I think the biggest and the most important piece as a payments provider is providing simple, fast, secure transactions. I think everybody really forgets that everything should ride on a layer of security. If you assume that you are going to get a payment, you also assume at this point that there is trust associated with both the sender and the receiver, associated with making a payment which is as safe, and I quote that, safe as cash.